I've got a buddy on Instagram who goes by Willie Fab. He makes knives out of old files and just does some fantastic things with them. Really talented. His handles are freaking amazing. I'm going to put a link down in the description to his Instagram page. I recommend you check it out. Just see some of the stuff he's doing. Some of it's really, really nice. Some of it's a little too far out there for my tastes. Big choppers and that sort of thing. He sent me this Thuringian stone to check out. It is a water razor hone. This is the box it came in. Now check this out. He found this stone in the rafters of an old barn. The folks who live there have been there since the 1950s. So this stone is at least from that era. Looking online, the company that made and mined this stone started in the 1930s and operated up until the beginning of World War II. So this stone is at least that old. It's probably older than that. It's probably from the 30s or 40s, who knows. But it's in absolutely excellent condition. There are no chips in it. You have to excuse it, it's a little wet because I did use it. But there are no chips in it, no dings. This thing is almost in perfect condition. This is probably how it came when it was purchased. There's one little hiccup right here, but other than that, it's a prime specimen. I know almost nothing about straight razor hones. If you ask me about synthetic stones, and it's a stone I have personally used, I can usually tell you a little bit about it. But stuff like this is way beyond my wheelhouse. I asked Luke to send it to me, so he actually did, thankfully. Thank you very much for that, by the way. It takes a lot of trust to do something like that. I told him I'd take excellent care of his stone, and I've been doing just that. I asked him to send it to me so I could try it out and see what it was like. I contacted Caleb McCullough because like I said, I know nothing about razor hones. When it comes to straight razors, Caleb is my brain trust. That guy knows his stuff. He looked at the stone and immediately said it looked like a Thuringian, and he nailed it. I mean, that's exactly what this is. He told me that basically a stone like this, anything you can sharpen on a hard Arkansas, you can sharpen on this stone. What I have found in use is, unlike a hard Arkansas stone, you actually have to refine your edge to a pretty high grit before you jump to this guy. You can't, for instance, go from a 1K stone straight to like a hard Arkansas. You know, you can do that. It may take a little work, but you can get the scratch level up to that hard Arkansas level with some work. This guy, no way. You take a 1K edge to this, and it's just gonna smile at you. Nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna end up convexing or rolling your edge is what's gonna happen. You have to take your edge up to at least a 4 or 5K level, maybe even an 8K level, before you even think about getting on this guy. It is a very fine stone, but it's got a narrow window. You've got to get in on that window or you're going to miss your opportunity for it. If you start too coarse, it's not going to work. If you start at like a 15K level, this may not do much for you. The thing about naturals, and I'll talk about this later in the video, is that you can't really put a grit rating on them. So I say 15K level and that sort of thing, but those numbers are arbitrary. You might be able to get a 20K level edge off of this stone, where I can only get an 8K edge. So it's all in skill, it's all in use, and you just gotta use your hones and figure them out. That's really what it all boils down to, is experience. I'm also going to put a link down in the description to Caleb's channel. He does a lot of straight razor videos. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, you really need to. He's very, very knowledgeable. Like I said, he's my brain trust when it comes to stuff like this. So stick around. We're going to sharpen up this Henckles knife, and we're going to talk about it. So I did a little investigating, and I found a few people on YouTube selling this type of stone. It's basically just slate It's really, really fine though. It kicks up a slurry quite easily, although it did have a slurry stone with it. You can actually run this across the stone and create your own slurry if you want, or you can just use the stone as is. And like I said, it will naturally develop a slurry. What the slurry does is it helps speed up the abrasion. So if you got a knife that's going to take, we'll say, 15 minutes to sharpen, if you kick up a slurry, it may only take you 8 minutes. So it can speed things up for you. As you can see, you can create a pretty thick slurry in no time. But I found just using the stone, it made the slurry naturally. So this isn't really required. Caleb told me that basically this was very much like a hard Arkansas stone. Anything a hard Arkansas stone can cut, this can cut. Using that as an example, I've got an old cheap Henckles knife here. No idea what steel it is. It's just one of those high carbon type steels. I've got it taken to a 4K edge, but it's a little dull. It's not screaming sharp, and I cannot shave with it. I can scrape hair off, but I can't shave hair off. So I'm going to use this stone and see if we can get the edge a little bit better. Now, like I said, these are basically razor hones. So if you've got a straight razor, this would be a perfect finisher for such a task. All my razors are currently sharpened up and ready to rock, so I have no desire to do a straight razor video. The stone is a little softer than I thought it was at first. When I first got it, I thought it was really, really hard. But as I used it, I realized it's not that hard. It's actually pretty soft. It can be scratched easily, and I haven't gouged it, but I've got a suspicion that if you raised your angle too much, you could really take a chunk out of this guy. Since it is such a fine stone, you can't jump from like a 1000 grit straight to this guy. It's just not going to work. You've got to refine that edge some more. You got to get it up to a 3 to 5K level and then come to this stone. Everybody wants a grit or a number to assign to natural stones, and unfortunately they just don't work that way. It's hard to describe. I mean, you don't get like a synthetic stone. You don't get the kind of cutting action you would with a synthetic. If you've got a 12K stone, well, it's going to be a 12K stone all day long. If you've got a stone like this, it may start out at 12K, but as you develop a slurry and that slurry breaks down, it may increase the grit level up to 16K, 18K. If you change, how much water you put on it, if you dilute it down, and you can actually get, 20K edges off of it. So it's hard to put a number on a natural stone. If I had to assign a number to this guy, I couldn't even begin to tell you. It's finer than an 8K, but I haven't been able to get an edge. I haven't been able to get like a 15K edge off of it. Now, that's not the stone's fault, that's my fault. Guys finish straight razors on these things all the time. They were quite popular for that very reason back in the early 20th century. So just assigning a number to it, I would say just the base stone is probably around 8K, give or take. But as you use it, you could probably get a 16K edge off this, no problem. I just don't have that kind of skill with natural stones to be able to produce such a thing. I'm too heavy-handed, and I've come to rely too much on synthetics. Japanese natural stones are a complete mystery to me. I've never used one. I don't know anything about them. Another thing about natural stones, you have to work them. You can't just jump straight onto the stone and expect to get a screaming edge. you know, it may take you 15 minutes on one stone to get the difference between a 10K edge and a 14K, 15K edge. That's just part of the art of straight razor honing. It's a little beyond what I personally go through, and you know, I don't really sweat the whole natural Japanese kind of thing. I just, like I said, I just get my synthetic stones, I jump on it, and that's the way I go. I think I'm just about done playing on this guy though. This Henckles knife is a very simple steel. It seems to sharpen extremely easily. It seems to be pretty soft also. So I don't even think taking it to such a fine stone is really worth the effort, but I don't have a whole lot of knives that I can demonstrate on this stone to show you how good it is or how fine it can get. I'm going to rinse the stone off, so I've got 0 slurry. I don't want any slurry. I want just the stone and the knife to interact. Most natural stones will produce a hazy finish. It's pretty rare that you'll get like a mirror polish. Some are capable of getting a bright polish, but you're never going to see one of those really bright, high luster kind of polishes you get from a synthetic stone off most natural stones. Now, that being said, there are some out there that can do it, and obviously Japanese sword polishers prize those kind of stones, so it's not impossible. But for the most part, just a stone like this, you're going to get a hazy kind of finish. Alright, let's see how my edge is, if I completely ruined it or if it's any better. Actually feels like I got some burr on there. And check shaving. Oh yeah, it's shaving now without scraping. So there's definitely an increase in sharpness. Show you guys what this polish looks like. So you've got a hazy finish to the bevel. Ignore that tip. I'm trying to grind this belly portion out of the tip, so I haven't been sharpening that area. Like I said when I started, I couldn't shave without scraping my arm. Now it's shaving just fine without the need of scraping my skin. So there's definitely an increase in sharpness here. To strop, I'm just going to use my Strop Brothers strop. This knife does flex, so it can be a bit of a challenge, not only to sharpen, but just to strop it. That is a very nice edge. It's got that natural stone type edge. I don't know how to describe it, but it's toothier than anything you'll get off a synthetic, but it's very fine. It's hard to describe unless you've ever experienced one. If you are a sharpener, I would highly recommend getting yourself an Arkansas stone just to try it out for the edge alone. So there's a little reflectivity, still a little muddied, still a little hazy, but if you're using a stone like this, you're not after the polish, you're after the edge. And this edge is very, very nice. Well guys, that's it for this one. I appreciate you guys checking it out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I want to say thanks to Luke for sending this my way, letting me take a look at it. And most especially thanks to Caleb for giving me some information on it. When it comes to stuff like this, he is my go-to resource. He really knows his stuff, especially when it comes to stuff involving straight razors.